We're here to talk about Star Wars episodes, A New Hope.
Oh, A New Hope for Star Wars?
Yes, A New Hope for Star Wars after the darkness has overtaken the universe.
The Empire has fallen? Yeah. The Disney, J.J. Abrams, Kathleen Kennedy Empire has collapsed?
Yes.
Who is the New Hope? Jon Favreau?
Jon Favreau, Kevin Feige. They are the New Hopes.
Okay.
Star Wars is like it's like a 80s slasher monster. It is. You think it's dead, and it keeps like coming back. Like you hit it in the head with a fucking hatchet, and then it's just sitting there for a while, and you poke the corpse, it just sits up.
And when it gets back up, it keeps doing the same thing. Right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Star Wars some more. It's a new year.
That should just be the title of every video we do from here on out. Let's talk about Star Wars some more.
Well, The Mandalorian is a pleasant surprise. I, of course, when they announced it, was like, oh God, you know.
Oh yeah,
Boba Fett.
Not even Boba Fett, but Boba Fett's underwear.
Boba Fett, a non-Boba Fett Boba Fett. And then, you know, like, Jon Favreau was attached to it, and I was like, okay, I just don't care.
Yeah.
And then you watch the show, and it's surprisingly refreshing, because in hindsight, after seeing Rise of Skywalker, and then watching all of Mandalorian, Rise of Skywalker is just like a giant dumpster fire compared to the tone. And there's an obvious reason why The Mandalorian works.
Okay.
It's taking it back, like Star Wars has become like Frankenstein's monster, the Rise of Skywalker. That sort of Star Wars. It just sort of like morphed into this just out of control, insane creature where people are just slapping parts on it and it's walking around screaming and no one knows what it is, right? The Mandalorian, it takes it back to 1977 Star Wars, where you have George Lucas, he's making this little science fiction film.
I want to jump in real quick. When you say back to 1970 Star Wars, you're not talking about just things you know.
Right.
Oh. Hey, you just watch yourself.
No. We don't want any trouble, sorry.
Wait there, Tool. Try not to bother anyone.
This is Gold Leader, standing by.
This is Red Leader, standing by.
Like, that's a stormtrooper! I just want to make that clear before you go on.
I'm not going down that path. I'm going down the path of George Lucas made his little science fiction film, but he based it on other things. You know, we all know Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, The Hidden Fortress, Kurosawa. Like he's got knights in there.
Yeah.
He's mixing Western and Eastern philosophies. Right. He's doing all these things, and he's throwing it all in this movie in the science fiction context. Because you have the Jedi Knights who are knights, right? Like Western knights. But they wear robes and they meditate, like sort of Eastern, and there's this mysticism in it. And then, of course, the Flash Gordon serials and all that kind of stuff that inspired George Lucas. And that's kind of what this is like. Instead of becoming a giant, like, clusterfuck Transformers, J.J. Abrams nightmare world, they took it back to a simpler kind of like, we're going to tell a story in the Star Wars world with influences by other things, which is what Star Wars started out as. It's a Western. You like the spaghetti Westerns?
I fucking love the old Clint Eastwood spaghetti Westerns.
Sergio Leone films, Good, Bad, and the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars.
For a few dollars more.
For a few dollars. Fistful of Dollars, of course, based on Yojimbo, right?
Yeah.
So all those things, it's like Eastern and Western kind of concepts kind of all merged into this. The Clint Eastwood character, right? He doesn't really speak much.
They don't really use his name.
Yes, the man with no name. The loner who goes into the town to save the townspeople or to do whatever.
Seeking money, and he collects bounties.
Yes, and so that's the Star Wars, stripping away all, because I know you don't like the Jedi nonsense and the Force, and you find all that stuff annoying.
I find space magic comical, and it's usually just like it's so frequently just used as a crutch for weak storytelling. How does he know that? The Force! The Force told him. How did they get out of this situation? The Force!
So we've got the Mandalorian. He is both a samurai or a Ronin.
And a cowboy.
And a cowboy. So we've got exactly the template that George Lucas started with Star Wars.
I didn't notice that. That's very keen.
What?
The mixing of the two, East and West.
It's a little bit of both, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what Lucas did. Everyone said he ripped off the Hidden Fortress, basically plot points.
Yeah.
You know, and that was him. He's like, I'm going to put a spin. I'm going to put a spin on these movies by making them set in outer space.
Well, there are no new ideas.
Well, no. There's only what is the saying? There's only 7 stories, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's whatever. But except for a Rise of Skywalker, there's 48 stories to Rise of Skywalker.
Oh God.
Anyways, we're not going to dog on that film today.
No, until you bring it up again.
We're here to talk about The Mandalorian. It's such a night and day comparison.
Yeah.
I mean, The Mandalorian isn't perfect. It's not like amazing television, but it is great.
It's a breath of fresh air.
Yes.
The other thing that stands out to me about The Mandalorian, especially in contrast to Rise of Skywalker, just simplicity. Mm-hmm. There's a beautiful episode in The Mandalorian, which I won't get into spoilers right now, but it's 5 characters and 1 hallway set. Mm-hmm. It's utterly simple, and yet they make a fantastic story out of it.
So The Mandalorian is not Boba Fett or Darth Vader.
This is fine.
Yes.
I'm okay with this.
And the Mandalorian mythos has sort of just evolved. Like Boba Fett was just a guy in a helmet in Empire Strikes Back. His first appearance was on the Star Wars Holiday Special.
He's the cartoon on the dinosaur.
Yes, and then I think when they first showed Boba Fett, his costume was just all white.
Okay, we'd like to introduce Boba Fett, and here he is, a new character. Can you speak to us, Boba?
Certainly.
And it didn't have any paint on it. But then they painted up Boba Fett, and they're like, he's just a guy. And then you got the prequels. Jango Fett.
Yeah.
Is a guy, and I guess he's just a man who's trying to make his way in the universe, right? That's his line.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.
And so via Palpatine, he's paid a cash sum to allow skinny aliens on a water planet to clone him.
None of this has anything to do with The Mandalorian.
No, I'm getting there. I'm going through the history. Yeah. So that skinny aliens can clone him and make him a stormtrooper.
Yes.
Now, so you start watching The Mandalorian, and you're like, okay, Jango Fett took his helmet off. He left his Boba Fett outfit lying in the closet, remember? Mm-hmm. He's like, whoa, like Obi-Wan sees it, and he closes the closet door. He's constantly taking his helmet off. And then in this, the Mandalorian's like, we never take our helmets off, ever. Yeah. No other living creature has seen our faces. And I was like, wait, what? Then I discover the Fetts, Jango Fett and Boba Fett, are not real Mandalorians. They're frauds.
I recently encountered a man who wore Mandalorian armor, Jango Fett.
But nobody's a real Mandalorian.
Well,
take people in.
It's not a race. It's a creed.
Yeah,
it's just you can become a Mandalorian. You just have to abide by the creed and not break the rules.
Why do Boba Fett and Jango Fett look like Mandalorians then, if they're not Mandalorians?
Because I don't know where Jango Fett got his armor. I'm assuming he stole it from a dead Mandalorian and just started using it.
Yeah.
And then Boba Fett wanted to emulate his father because he was sad he got his head chopped off.
Is Boba Fett not using his dad's armor?
No.
You can just shake the helmet and the head will fall out.
Okay, that's gross.
It's perfectly usable.
Well, it doesn't look the same. I guess over the years
wear and tear.
Wear and tear repainted it. I guess we don't know. I'm sure there's a backstory in a comic book or something. But from what I understand, it was brought up in the Clone Wars cartoon show where the Fetts were not real Mandalorians; they're just frauds who wear the armor.
It's interesting, but their little village area. It's kind of goofy when you see everyone with the helmet on.
The underground.
The underground. Yeah. I liked it, but it's so silly.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
Well, I think the silliest one is the Iron Forger lady. I don't know. They all look like the Las Vegas Golden Knights hockey team.
The who?
How
the fuck do you know a hockey team?
They have a logo. It's the Mandalorian helmet's based on like a knight helmet.
Yeah.
You know? Like you ever see those Bud Light commercials?
Yeah.
It's an old knight helmet. That's what they were going for in Empire. I'll put a helmet on him. I'll make it. Yeah, and now it's a whole thing.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
This is the way.
Okay, well, let's get into spoilers.
Yeah.
At first, you're like, okay, I'm not sure I can get into this because it's a little slow, and we're missing all the key elements that movies shove in there that make us feel safe and happy. A nice ragtag group of people. One's the funny one, one's the technological one. This guy's wisecracking. We need a Jedi. You know, all this.
Don't forget the love interest.
Love interest, yes. Why aren't they doing that? How can I possibly watch a show where a guy barely says anything? And the thing is, over time, it starts to work. And also, he's a cold bounty hunter at first, you know. And you're like, well, I'm not going to relate to this character, but then over time you do. We only see his face one time, and it's in the last episode.
I like that it was in the least flattering way possible, too.
Because he looked like Corey Feldman?
Because he's covered with blood. He's like, oh, God.
Stop touching things.
Let's talk about Baby Yoda.
It was just from a marketing point of view, it's the most fucking brilliant idea ever.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Werner Herzog is fantastic. I was sad they killed him off. Like, he should have been the major overarching villain in this.
Very unceremoniously, too.
Yeah.
He just suddenly dies.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Werner Herzog just has better shit to do with his life than to star in a Star Wars TV show. I don't know.
I have to go make a documentary about Star Wars.
He also said you were expensive.
You know, so the first episode, Mandalorian is hired by Carl Weathers.
There's the fantastic opening sequence to that show. That hooked me, too, the bar scene. It's a simple action scene where he goes to collect the bounty, and it's not the guy you think it is. Show hooked me from the beginning.
And that was check number one that had me worried in the first episode, because I thought he's going to bring him on his ship, and he's going to be a regular. And I'm really good at fixing engines. He's going to be the comic relief, and and then the second thing was the carbonite freezing, which I was like, oh no, which they dropped. Because like that was a things you know kind of thing, and it was used wrong too. It was used very wrong, and everything else in this is used right, except for that, because I think you and I have talked about this.
We'll talk about the way this show does member berries, but like the carbonite freezing, like in Empire, that wasn't like a usual thing. It was like some kind of weird for their gas mining operation. It was technical mining equipment that the Empire just kind of used for something it wasn't supposed to be. Like, they didn't even know if Han Solo was going to survive the process.
Yes, and that's the important part, is that what if he doesn't survive?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the method you're using to capture, your bounties? Is something where it's a 50-50 shot of them dying during the process? How about just handcuff him?
What if he doesn't survive? He's worth a lot to me.
The Empire will compensate you if he dies. Put him in.
Vader needed to freeze Luke Skywalker because he was dangerous.
Yes.
He had the Force, and he was a powerful ally, will he become. That blue guy was not dangerous. You just need a couple zip ties. You know, you didn't need to carbon freeze him. He did it because he was sneaking around and he fell in the thing. But they show Mandalorian has a couple other characters that he's frozen, that he's probably taking elsewhere. I guess you don't have to feed them. You don't have to worry about their bathroom needs. But at least invent something new, like a different cryogenic kind of thing.
Yeah.
Don't use the same like carbon thing. I was like, no, stop it. Stop it, Star Wars.
The exact same, down to like the dimensions
Yes,
and the blinking lights on the side.
And then at the end, we discover, we get a little appearance by not IG-88, IG-11.
It looks different, but yeah.
The guy who created IG-88 would have to get royalties, right? So they call him IG-11. So yeah, it ends with them rescuing Baby Yoda. IG-11 is going to shoot him, but the Mandalorian, he's taken in by his cuteness, and he says, "Why does Werner Herzog want this little baby? Is it like a Richard Gere situation?" And Mandalorian is very concerned. He has a soft spot for abandoned child, obviously, based on his backstory.
Yes.
So that play. It's not just the fact that he looks like Gizmo. Mando he was an orphan himself. So Mandalorian wants to protect the little baby, as he should, because later on at first you're like, why is the Mandalorian care about this baby? Like, why he just wants his money, you know? But then you learn over time.
Yeah.
You know, he's got a pretty typical backstory, you know. Parents killed, raised by, you know, something, and then.
That's the thing with this show. It's not breaking the mold.
No.
It's fairly generic story. The orphan kid, you know, but I like it, and none of the standardness of it bothers me.
No, and also in a way. It's a mixture between serialized, like long-form TV, and you could watch a singular episode of Mandalorian and probably be okay.
It's a throwback to like a 1980s action show.
It really is.
It's like the A-Team. There's this group. They're on the run from somebody, but every week they're in a new town and there's a new adventure, and you can watch them all separately. It doesn't matter.
Or like a Western. Bounty Law with Jake Cahill.
Yes, Bounty Law with Jake Cahill. Yes, that's definitely a real Western.
We don't know anything about Baby Yoda. Is it really Yoda? What do you think, Rich?
It could be a clone. It could be a Yoda clone, or the fact that nobody seems to know what it is. I am now wondering if Yodas aren't some kind of special Force thing. Every so many centuries, the Force brings a new Yoda into the world, Mike.
Like a Jesus?
Like a Jesus. Like another Force Jesus. We need a second one. I'm a little bit worried they'll go that route, but The Mandalorian hasn't steered me wrong so far. But that's totally a J.J. Abrams maneuver.
Yeah, and J.J. Abrams has not taken a crap on this.
Yeah.
Also, let's not forget, we have Yaddle.
Is that a real thing, or was that just a fan thing? Oh no, that was in
Phantom Menace.
Okay, never mind.
There's a female Yoda named Yaddle from his race.
Yeah.
So it's possible this is Yoda's little baby, although Yoda and the Jedis were celibate. You know what? The one prequel nod in this that I thought was appropriate was the appearance of the super battle droids.
Oh, that, yeah. I think you were talking about Mando's ship, which looks very prequelish to me.
It does.
They even mentioned it's pre-Empire.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It actually looks like a Naboo ship that's just all fucked up.
Because it's 50 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, his ship, and that's the cool thing too. The ship is so boring. You know what I mean?
It's not a super special ship.
Yeah, it's just so ugly. It's like he's driving around in like a rusty old Honda Civic or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just so like most plain design for a ship. It just looks so ugly, and it's perfect. They didn't go overboard with he's got to have this badass ship.
It's got teleportation drive.
Right. Yes.
The ship is teleportation mushrooms.
Oh. I know where you're going with that. That's another refreshing thing about Mandalorian. It's just it's not Star Trek Discovery. the waking nightmare that was season 2 of Star Trek Discovery, and watching this, and the camera is just not moving constantly, and you know what's happening.
As overly emotional as Star Trek Discovery is, and everyone's always crying and feeling. The Mandalorian actually made me feel something.
Yeah.
Is the ironic thing.
Yes.
When Nick Nolte's character, what was his
the Ugnaught.
When he died,
I know.
I was sad.
I know.
I felt the human emotion watching something made in 2019. I was like, oh.
I know.
I felt that.
Yeah.
I will help you.
Because he was a good man.
Yeah.
A good person, you know. He was honorable and he was there to help and yeah.
He wasn't violent. He didn't want to run around blowing up a bunch of different things. He gets involved just specifically. Well, I want to help the baby. I promise I'll do it.
He has spoken.
Because that whole time he's racing back, what I thought was going, like the standard dumb thing was going to happen.
He flies the ship.
He was going to get close to the ship, and they're about to gun him down, and then I thought IG-11 was going to come down at the last minute to blow the stormtroopers away before they could kill Nick Nolte. And that didn't happen. I was like, oh my God, they killed him. It was great. Subtlety, simplicity. This show has a lot of almost like bottle episodes. Like that's like is a Star Trek thing. Star Trek thing, like cave episodes or bottle episodes. Like, we don't have that much money. Let's do a simple episode where everything takes place in this one cave set we have.
In the 90s, when Star Trek The Next Generation was on, a season of Next Gen was 26 episodes.
Yeah.
And that's why you have cave episodes.
Yeah.
Is because they couldn't do all that much. They had 26 episodes to make. And this show has 8. And they aren't going overboard. This Mandalorian series I consider a really great Star Wars movie. You know, better than Solo, better than Rogue One, and better than all 3 of the new films.
I'm assuming this is originally going to be a movie, too.
It's possible, and I'm glad they didn't, because they took their time. And it's surprising. I'm sure they had a good budget, and the effects look really great, but instead of going 10 episodes and just shoving all this stuff in there, they did a simple 8, and they didn't go overboard. It feels, that's why you say it feels like a throwback show.
Yeah.
Like the episode where they save the town, where he saves the town from the AT-ST.
It's just a set they made in the woods. It's one set. They don't go to 28 different planets.
Right. It looks like the Next Gen village sets that they have. That same town that they always reuse with the fountain in the middle, the courtyard, you know. It's on like 15 different episodes, just decorated differently. Put some plants over there. And so that's really great. And then emotion too. I think the Mandalorian, I think his face is the ultimate Kuleshov effect. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And that's just like, I'll take that any day over Michael Burnham crying on screen. It's like, how is Mandalorian, like, how are you going to have a show where your main character, his face is a tin can? How are you going to have a show like that? How is he going to emote? Who cares? Watch the show.
Less is more.
Slight head tilt tells it all. I know he feels sad for Baby Yoda. I know he's being regretful here. I know he's making a hard choice here. And he's wearing a tin can. So let's quickly talk about some of our wonderful guest appearances. Carl Weathers.
Oh my God, that man has not aged a day.
I know.
He looks like he could star in the next Rocky movie.
You know what they say.
Carl Weathers is a good actor?
Yes. And then we got a nice little appearance by Bill Burr, the comedian, on the ship.
The prison ship?
Prison ship episode, which was a great little caper Guardians of the Galaxy kind of ragtag group of people storming a thing. That was wonderful, wonderful. Amy Sedaris, who looks like an elderly Ripley from Aliens.
She's always playing someone goofy.
She's got the big hair. And she's got,
no eyebrows, right?
I don't remember.
I think she has like no eyebrows or something weird in this.
But yeah, she's on Tatooine, and she runs a docking area, and she has those little fix-it droids that appeared in the prequels. Mm-hmm. It was cute.
I was more interested in the cantina, which had the Jabba droids.
Yes.
The droids that are now running the No Droids bar.
Yes, it shows that the Star Wars universe can progress. Because you had a racist bartender.
We don't serve their kind here.
What?
We don't serve their kind here. Remember him?
Yes, everyone remembers.
No droids. Lucas was trying to insert some social criticism into Star Wars. It didn't quite work out. That was the only part where there was droid racism in the universe.
To be fair,
droids don't get served drinks, sir.
To be fair, they have created a sentient being and enslaved it. That's what a droid is. It's really creepy when you think about it.
I guess so, but he just didn't like them.
Yeah.
Mando doesn't like them because he doesn't trust them.
No, Mando doesn't like them because battle droids murdered his fucking family.
Oh yeah, I guess that. Yeah, that's a big reason.
Yeah, that probably has more to do with it than him just not trusting them generally.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But the bartender in Star Wars, he probably passed away. Maybe a heart attack. He seemed like he wasn't in the best shape.
No.
He was just some dirty English guy. Some guy they pulled off a street corner and said, "Do you want to be in Star Wars?"
Oh, okay. Can I wear me wig?
And get behind the bar and be racist towards C-3PO.
Okay.
Are you sure he didn't show up at the end of The Rise of Skywalker to like have a cameo when he shot a Star Destroyer like everyone else?
I learned how to fly me X-Wing.
I'm Wedge. Nice shot.
But yeah, they work behind the bar, and then Mando sits and in the same seat that Han Solo sits. There's another guest appearance. I don't know his name. Cannavale is his last name. I think he's the son of actor Bobby Cannavale.
Okay.
AKA Funky Spunk. We have Clancy Brown as the big guy.
The big devil alien.
You know what I thought was a nice little prequel nod. Do you remember when our shock trooper character?
She's having the fight with the Darth Maul species guy.
Yes, which
only he doesn't have the face tattoos, so it's subtle.
Yes, you wouldn't notice it unless you were paying attention, but...
I was going to bring that up, yeah.
I've always wondered about Darth Maul, like, does he glue? Because in that close-up, you could see, like, the putty that's holding on the horns. It just looks horrible, the makeup. And I always wondered, did he just put the horns on his head to look intimidating and paint his face that way, or does his race just look like that? No, they just have horns.
Well, through osmosis, I heard he had like face tattoos, but I assumed, like everything in Star Wars, like everyone in his race would have those same face tattoos. But no, they didn't do that route, and that's nice.
Yeah.
Can we talk about nostalgia on this show now, since we're talking about Mos Eisley Cantina? Yeah. What is, oh God, like Rogue One was just nostalgia of the movie. And this has like nostalgic nods. Some of them annoy me, and some of them don't. Like, even going to Tatooine annoys me, because the whole point of Tatooine to me was that Luke was on this backwater planet in like the outside of nowhere.
The Outer Rim.
The Outer Rim. It was like a nothing location in the grander scheme of Star Wars, and yet Star Wars keeps going back there. Why? I mean, that it's jarring to me whenever I see Tatooine now. It's like that should be gone.
There's a million dirty spaceports all over the galaxy, and yeah, we keep going back to the same one.
We see Jawas on like different planets. Like, are Jawas just everywhere now? I don't understand this.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before. It's the workings of the universe of the show, and It's a fine line between what is fan service and what is just the mechanics of the universe, right?
Yeah. And to be fair, before we go on too much further, a large part of what annoys me about it in Rogue One is because that's all Rogue One had.
Yeah.
Rogue One didn't have anything other than AT-STs. You remember those?
Yeah, and Death Star, and we have to stop this Darth Vader, and the central characters were all completely forgettable, and they focused absolutely no time on developing them or making us like them.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite in Mandalorian. We like a guy with a bucket on his head more than all 10 characters in Rogue One, you know?
Yeah.
Because they took it slow and developed it. And you can argue you can't do that in a feature film. You don't have a lot of time, but make Rogue One about 3 characters, not 19.
You know what? Cut out one of the pointless action sequences and have more of a character-focused scene instead. Do that.
But we're talking about the fine line between fan service and mechanics of a show, because I think you and I talked about this with Star Trek. The 60s Star Trek invented all these things. The United Federation of Planets, the Enterprise, photon torpedoes, transporters, phasers, lock phasers, and the communicators. Then when you get to Next Gen and all the other shows, they have photon torpedoes, you know, blah, blah, blah.
They have all the same shit.
Klingons, you know, they have all this. And so at what point do you say, well, using IG-11, why isn't it just random robot? You know? And they had brand new random robot in Rogue One, the thing that was played by the Firefly guy, right?
It was the best thing in that movie.
What was his name?
KSO? I think it was?
Yeah. KS.
I think it was KSO.
KRS-One?
In general, I still like the show.
I think it's a fair mixture of both. The New Republic prison ship was something brand new.
Yeah.
And I was happy with that.
Star Wars needs to expand.
You've always said Star Wars is creatively bankrupt.
Yeah.
It's a universe that can't expand. And does this, to you, prove that it is possible?
It proves that it is possible. It's the baby steps to expanding Star Wars into more, like, we have to keep using Jawas because that's the only thing we have.
Right.
Now we're starting to see more things. That's good.
And the key to it is not being completely reliant on things we know and fan service, which is like Solo. That was a fan service movie too. Let's not pretend it wasn't.
I'm not going to pretend Solo was the greatest thing that ever happened.
No.
I still enjoyed it, but
I mean, it was well done, but I mean, what was the plot of Solo? Do you even remember?
Yeah. They had to steal the thing. Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you.
But I'm over 40, so I don't remember most things that happened yesterday.
My point is, I think you could take the Star Wars universe and tell a genre-based story in it.
They're telling a story other than here's the Jedi rising up to fight the evil wizard. And that's good.
I think Rogue One attempted to tell a heist story within the Star Wars universe. I think they just did it poorly because it was not a clever heist movie. I think when we talked about Rogue One, we talked about this, was that it was a smash and grab kind of movie.
What the hell? Come on.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like it because it's not over the top. It kicks it into low gear. Simple characters, simple story, simple action scenes. Simple action scenes are so much better in my book. When the action feels plausible, there's more tension. Like when you survive jumping off a building and then you land on the other flying space car that then blows up and you still survive that, I don't feel any danger for the characters when they survive the most insane shit possible.
So you're a big fan of the Fast and Furious movies?
No, I am not.
Do you think it was too fan servicey when they're in the bar, in the bar, and the new Grand Moff is like he's got a ton of troops outside, and And Mandalorians looking around, where's the sewer grate? And the sewer grate looked exactly like the sewer grate did on the Death Star. I was like, do they have one sewer grate manufacturer in the galaxy? I mean, come on.
Do you want to nitpick? Because we can
shut
nitpick.
it off then.
I had liked the show by this point.
Princess Leia blew that sewer grate open with one shot, and this drop trooper, Kara something, she couldn't open it. Maybe they upgraded the strength and durability of sewer grates since A New Hope, but to me, that's a big cinema sin right there. I like that all the Stormtrooper armor is all nasty and gross. It hasn't been kept very well. And they're sort of just guys that are working for money. They're really, like that scene where they're just, the biker scouts are just sitting on chatting about something. They're super lazy.
Was it going too far when they couldn't hit the can that was like 5 feet in front of them?
That was perfect. That was perfect. What's wrong with a little comic relief in Star Wars?
I liked it.
We all don't have to cry like, Rogue One where everyone's crying. Oh, how sad. They died for the Death Star so that a second one could be built an hour later. I'm so sad for their sacrifice. Whatever her name was. We've talked about season 1. There's a lot of great things in it. It's well worth the watch.
Yes.
This is coming from 2 elderly men that hate Star Wars. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and everybody else, all the great writers and directors on the show, have brought it back to life from the grave that J.J. Abrams stomped it into. But I think Jon Favreau is a great choice to executive produce this show.
Do you want to go on record right now as saying he should be put in charge of all of Star Wars so you can be apologizing for something else in 10 years?
Sure, yes.
Kicking every tire, shaking every tree, doing everything we could to make sure that we were telling the best possible story we could. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am for this gentleman's partnership on this movie.
Yes.
Let's talk about Mandalorian Season 2.
Some more fantastic, simple, standalone episodes where he runs around the galaxy getting on individual adventures. And then you tease stuff with Yoda baby and where he's from.
Oh, Rich.
What?
So naive. They're gonna bring Boba Fett back. That's my prediction.
You think Boba Fett's gonna come back?
Yes. Because I was thinking about Star Trek Discovery Season 1. Remember we joked they're gonna bring out Spock?
Yeah.
They got the Spock card up their sleeve.
Yeah, but Star Trek Discovery is dumb. And so far The Mandalorian has been smart.
I don't know. I have a feeling. I expected this season to end. Boba Fett needs to crawl out of the Sarlacc pit monster.
Well, they missed their opportunity on Tatooine.
Yeah. I think the fact that Boba Fett is a fake Mandalorian might come into play. And I think he's going to come crawling out of the Sarlacc pit monster, ready to challenge the Mandalorian for some reason. You can't bring Jabba the Hutt back because Carrie Fisher choked him to death. But you can bring back Boba Fett. He's been down there, what? Maybe 3-4 years?
He probably crawled out after the first week.
You think so?
Yeah.
Maybe he survived by eating cannibalizing other people down there. Can we get Daniel Logan back?
Well, he's got to look like the dad, right? Was he a clone too?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the guy who played Jango Fett is going to be a good 10 years older. So.
Born in 87.
Okay, so Daniel Logan is 32. Perfect. The kid who played the Boba Fett. He technically is a clone, but we can.
All right, so you're willing to hand wave that?
Well, we'll wink and nod because you can't get the actor who played Jango Fett.
Well, chronologically, how old would Boba Fett be, and how old is the Jango Fett actor? Those are the two questions I have.
In Attack of the Clones, the Boba Fett kid.
He'd be about
12. Let's say 12, 10 to 12, right?
Uh-huh.
So Luke was born in the next film, and Luke was 19 in.
So he's like 32-ish, 33-ish, or whatever.
A couple years post Jedi, he would probably be in his mid-30s.
Yeah.
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 And the actor who played Jango Fett, Lord only knows how old he is now.
Right.
So he would be way too old to be Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So he'd have to get Daniel Logan back. But I think he's going to crawl out of the Sarlacc pit monster.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know.
What do you think Baby Yoda's going to turn out to be? You said a clone of Yoda.
I wouldn't be shocked if it's a clone of Yoda. It literally is a baby Yoda.
Say it's scientists scanning him and stuff, yeah.
Question is, what are they trying to do with him? That's kind of what I'm a little bit more interested in. Like, what do they want out of Baby Yoda? Are they just planning to raise him to be a new Sith Lord because that's weird?
I don't know.
Or are they going to try and like extract Force from him? Or are they what is the deal?
Because of Rise of Skywalker, we've established the Emperor is alive.
Yeah.
During the events of The Mandalorian, he's just living on his planet, so maybe he is behind everything. Then we start slipping into like the terrible big giant plot lines that we don't need.
They're not going to drag Palpatine into it. Well, they could, but it's had a bad enough reception. I don't think they will.
Yeah.
They might actually use season 2 to explain what the fuck the First Order is and where that came from.
Yes, I was also going to talk about that, the rise of the First Order.
Yeah.
But do we want to distance ourselves from the sequel films? That's the thing. Who knows? There's a lot of different ways you can take it. I hope they don't start pulling plot elements from the other movies and trying to work them in. I don't mind Baby Yoda just being a Force-sensitive member of the Yoda race. Without any connection to Yoda or the Emperor or any of that crap.
There has to be a reason that baby specifically is special, though.
Yeah.
If it's just a generic member of Yoda's race because they all happen to be Force sensitive, then it wouldn't be such a big fucking deal. You just go and grab another one.
There is the Empire's interest in it has to be larger. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what that is, I hope they don't do something stupid with it.
They're trying to genetically engineer a Force-sensitive army, and they need his genetics for that. That's why they cloned an actual Yoda.
Yeah. And he got away. They went down to Dagobah, and they dug around his hut.
Or maybe they got something from the old Jedi temple on Coruscant.
A copy
they have
of his
that.
DNA records,
Yeah.
I just picture them going to Yoda's little tiny lazy boy chair, pulling one of his hairs. Where is Werner Herzog taking one of his hairs off his little lazy boy? Yes, this is it.
Why did they kill Werner Herzog?
Bring the soup.
I want him to give Baby Yoda a little Mandalorian helmet. Because he's part of the tribe now, so we'll give him his own little helmet that's got like space for the ears.
Would he have to have his ears surgically removed in order to become a Mandalorian?
They might have special helmets just for that.
But wouldn't that be a dead giveaway of your personality or who you are? Could Bib Fortuna be a Mandalorian? Wouldn't he have to have like a gigantic like garbage can size helmet? You know what I mean?
Maybe they just take Yoda's ears and the helmet has decorative horns and the ears just go right up into the horns.
The Mandalorian cult or organization or whatever you want to call it is very, very, very limiting. Could a Jawa be a Mandalorian?
Why not? I don't think there's anything to say they couldn't be.
What about a Jabba the Hutt? What about a Hutt, like a giant slug?
If a giant slug wants to put on a giant fucking slug helmet and walk around being an ineffective Mandalorian, that's that Hutt's business, man.
Okay.
He just has to be willing to live by the creed.
He would be very bad at catching people.
Can you imagine floating around in his jetpack?
He'd be sliding along. The jetpack. He'd need like 6 jetpacks.
Yeah. He'd be like a foot off the ground.
He'd be very bad at it. Very bad at it.
They gotta be careful with that jetpack. It's very much in danger of looking silly. When he flies off with Baby Yoda at the end, I was like, It was a little tiny chuckle.
This is a little too much like
Mary
Poppins.
A little too silly. A little too silly. A smidge.
I did enjoy his Rocketeer-esque adventure in taking down the
that
TIE
was
fighter,
fun.
though.
Yeah,
that was amazing. What a great action sequence. You know what? See, that was so different. And after I kept thinking, and I think I said this at one point, when we got the Rise of Skywalker trailer, I think I said this on maybe the Nerd Crew. I was like, there's the scene where exactly three TIE fighters chased the Millennium Falcon through a thing, you know. And it happened in the movie, but they left it out of the trailer. All three films. Mm-hmm. There is a sequence where the Millennium Falcon flies through things, not just in space, nice and simple.
Yeah.
But it's got to be flying through garbage or some kind of cave with crap everywhere. Or the Millennium Falcon gets chased by exactly 3 or 4 TIE fighters, and they blow them all up. And that happened in Rise of Skywalker. It happened in The Last Jedi, and when they fly through the red crystal cave, you know, 3 TIE fighters, and it happened in the first one. Yawn. The Mandalorian with a rocket pack flying up in the sky, landing himself on a TIE fighter and trying to manually attach a bomb to it. I haven't seen that in Star Wars before. I'm so tired of the Millennium Falcon being chased by 4 or 5 TIE fighters through a cave, and we had something different.
You know what's very telling to me? That you have enough respect for the Mandalorian to not just call him Boba Fett.
Yes. Yes.
We can't use that running joke now.
No.
Because the show was good.
Yeah.
And the character's likable.
Well, Rich, we've talked about The Mandalorian. There's a little glimmer of hope for Star Wars in the future, at least for television. We don't know where the movies will lead us, but we'll stay tuned.
Mike, streaming television, that's the future, man. Movies are going to die. There won't be movies anymore because they're writing TV series, streaming TV series. They're writing those like movies.
Yeah, and the effects and the quality is of a movie level.
Yes.
So you don't have to go to the theater. But streaming television, you pay $10 a month for. Movies, you pay $20 to see one movie. So there is a disparity in the money.
Yeah, but
a 2-hour movie can make $600 billion, you know?
If you have a streaming service, you forget you're paying for it. And then you pay for that $10 every month for like 10 years.
Let the bean counters figure it out, okay? I heard in season 2 of Mandalorian, Bryan Singer is directing an episode, and he's introducing a character called the Mandalorian.
This is gonna take off the helmet. It's Kevin Spacey.
Hello.
Sinisterly sitting by like a fireplace in a Christmas sweater. Nope. Nope. Nope.
We don't serve Mandalorians here. Everybody left.